¿Qué es masa harina? What is masa harina? Well, in Spanish, masa harina means dough flour. And I'm gonna use this to make tortillas from scratch for my Korean fried chicken tacos. I'm Chef Michael Williams, and that's what we're cooking on the coast. Today, we're tackling tacos. We're taking this super popular Mexican dish and giving it an Asian twist. It's Korean fried chicken tacos. Let's get right to it. We're gonna start off by getting some homemade kimchi. I love making kimchi. I've got a recipe for you. It'll be in the details of the show. This is it right here, beautiful. This is basically the Korean equivalent of sauerkraut. Loaded with flavor, super umami, and just, beautiful color, as you can see. It can complement so many dishes and be used in so many different ways. In fact, we're gonna do something a little unconventional and make an aioli, which is another name for mayonnaise. So we're gonna start off by getting some of our kimchi right out of the jar here. That's gonna go into our blender jar. Okay. And it's Napa cabbage, it's carrots, it's green onion, as well as the flavors of fish sauce and specific chili. Lovely stuff. Love my kimchi. Not only is it delicious, but it's so good for building that beneficial gut bacteria. So we are starting off with just a little bit of kimchi. Next step is to grab a couple of eggs. In fact, just the yolks. So I'm going to grab my eggs, crack them, and just take the yolks. And those yolks will go in with our kimchi. And then the next step is just a little bit of rice wine vinegar. And normally, if I was making an aioli, I would add in some extra flavors and, jazz it up a little bit. But because that kimchi is so potent, we don't need to do that. My general rule of thumb is about a half a tablespoon of vinegar for each yolk when you're making a mayo or an aioli. So we're going to put in about a tablespoon of rice wine vinegar here. That might have been a touch too much, so we'll probably end up a little bit too runny, but that's okay. It's going to work great for this application. So now with the stick blender, we just start processing this, break it up a little bit, and then we're going to slowly add that oil until we adjust the consistency. So our kimchi's nicely busted up there. Let's go ahead and start adding a slow drizzle of grapeseed oil, which is neutral in flavor, letting that kimchi really sing. And just keep an eye on it. We want it to increase in thickness a little bit. It's kind of counterintuitive when you're making aioli that it gets thicker the more oil you add, up to a certain point, at which point, that emulsification might break, so don't go too hard. I think we're probably good there. That looks fantastic. Okay, so our kimchi aioli is ready to go. So let's just go ahead and pour it into this dish here. We're gonna, get set up for a little bit later. We don't need it right away, so we'll get our aioli into this dish. And I'm going to reuse this blender jar without cleaning it. Wonderful complementary flavors for our marinade that's going to marinate our Korean fried chicken. So let's get right into that. My cilantro, as you can see, has already been broken up. We've got the stems, which we normally just toss aside. In this case, that's what we're after. That's what we're going to use. I love when you can make use of something that's normally just tossed aside. So we're going to go ahead and chop these up just a little bit more, okay, so that they can not be too long and cumbersome while we're working with our stick blender. And into the jar they go, okay. The cilantro leaves we will just set aside for now. Use them another day. Maybe we'll use them to garnish up our tacos, but we don't need them for the marinade. So they can go back over here and live for a little bit. Next up, we want some garlic. So fresh garlic, key ingredient here. I want about 6 cloves. So it's good just to kind of break that bulb apart, and then either with the side of your knife or the bottom of a pot or a pan, just crush, crush, crush until those skins are broken, which basically peels the garlic for you. Beautiful. Once our garlic's peeled, we'll just maybe give it also a quick chop and into our blender jar. And by the way, stick blender, food processor, regular blender, you have options when you're making this. You can even do it by hand. If you're into the chop, 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 that's fine. So we got some large cloves there. That's probably gonna do, maybe one more. Get those out of the way and into the compost. Done with that for now. A couple quick chops. Perfect. Okay, so next step, we're on to soy sauce. We want a good half a cup. So I'm eyeballing here. You guys feel free to break out your measuring spoons and measuring cups. I've made this marinade so many times. It's probably my favorite way to cook chicken, so I'm fairly comfortable doing this. But 1/3 of a cup of oyster sauce, okay? Surprisingly, we're gonna go into turmeric. Oh man, this is what really brings this dish over the top. So about a tablespoon of turmeric powder, some fresh ground pepper, which is key to unlocking the benefits of turmeric. And then finally, some whole cumin seeds. Actually, I lied, not finally. We got 2 more ingredients. So we'll get our cumin seeds in, some salt and sugar. That'll be it. So about a tablespoon or 2 of salt and about the same of sugar. And that's ready to be pureed now. You would not believe how amazing this smells right now. Oh my goodness, it's incredible. It really is probably my favorite way to cook chicken. Once those cilantro stems and the garlic are nicely chopped, your marinade's done. You can make this in big batches and you know, it keeps really well. The soy sauce, the oyster sauce, whatever the shelf life is on there, they're gonna kind of preserve everything. So this beautiful marinade is now ready for our chicken. So let's go ahead and grab our chicken, and I'm gonna show you some options of how we can process that. Korean fried chicken. Fried chicken's huge in Korea. You see restaurants, sometimes a dozen in a neighborhood, on a block. And you may have noticed lots of Korean fried chicken restaurants popping up here in Victoria. We're gonna work with our fried chicken here. Now, typically, we're gonna be working with bone-in chicken with fried chicken, but because we're making tacos today, we're gonna go boneless. So bone-in, boneless, you can do both. The cooking process changes, and we'll address that in a little bit, but do cut it into smaller sizes. We've got some boneless chicken thighs here, beautiful. And the bone-in, for good measure, we'll have to cook that separately and pay attention. In goes our marinade. You wanna let this marinate for about 4 to 6 hours. Make sure it's well covered, stirred, back in the fridge. We're gonna be back later in the show. I know I said tacos, we're getting there, trust me. We'll be back later in the show to finish up our Korean fried chicken tacos. Next up, we're road tripping. See you after the break.
Cookin' on the Road is brought to you by Cold Star Solutions, an integral part of Vancouver Island's grocery supply chain for 20 years.
We're here in the beautiful Saanich Peninsula at the iconic Mitchell Farms with Terry Mitchell himself. Thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for coming out.
As per your recommendation, I grabbed a nice little bouquet of beans here. We got 3 different colors.
Sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love eating veggies right out of the garden.
Nice and crisp.
When did you decide to become a farmer?
Oh, when I was watching my dad and my uncles, when I was
Born into it.
10 or 12.
You guys are amazing. You've been growing vegetables for how long?
Probably close to 100 years.
Wow, okay. So your parents?
Yeah, grandparents, parents,
And grandparents?
uncles. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, you guys have a wide array of vegetables. We're here in the bean field, right? What else do you grow?
You know, a lot of spring, there's the strawberries, raspberries,
Yeah.
and then there's lettuce, the fall crops, the squashes, the cabbages, carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, A lot of leaks right throughout the winter.
Yeah.
You know, in this area here in the Central Peninsula, we can grow a lot of winter crops that we can harvest right out of the fields, you know, all winter long.
So you're able to eat local produce almost year round.
Very much. You can do you know, pick and choose, you know, the winter crops, and you know, many farms in the area that have different products also. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just our farm, but there's other farms growing many other things in the peninsula. It's a great place to grow.
Totally. We're in a bit of a unique little bubble here, aren't we? Temperature-wise and growing season.
Yes.
And yeah. So, you know, you guys supply your produce to all kinds of places in Victoria, and where does everything go?
Most gets used on the, you know, Lower Victoria or Lower Vancouver Island, the Victoria area, and up Island.
Yeah.
And a percentage goes to the mainland also.
So stays hyper local, which is kind of the way it should be, right?
Exactly. You know, it's a lot of it is within you know, just a few miles. The store is very close by. Yeah. You know, use a lot of it also. So.
Yeah, right on. What's your favorite crop to grow?
I would say the ones that taste the best, like strawberries.
Yeah.
Green beans, you know, that type of thing. And pretty much all the veggies. And you know, in the fall, it's the squash. Yeah. I mean, the squash, you can't beat that at certain times of the year. So
I'm a big squash
we grow,
fan.
You know, a good selection of, you know, approximately 25 acres of squash, 25 acres, 30 acres of, you know, the cabbages and carrots. You know, a lot of our acres are very similar in size. Right. And so that when we are supplying the Victoria area, you know, we can supply a wide range of products.
Here we are in Cabbage Central, these beautiful plants. So these are fairly young, is that right?
Yeah, these are Savoy. And this variety is Warosa. We plant these in July. Okay. As a very small transplant, and you know, they're maybe 30% into their growth right now. Okay. And so in the fall, there'll be nice round heads of Savoy cabbage.
Right, so there is no head here yet, and no doll. I don't see any Cabbage Patch Kids coming out of here. No, just kidding. But you know, so the head will start forming what, in a couple weeks, few weeks?
Yeah, near the end of August, beginning of September.
Right, and each plant produces one head. Is that it?
Yeah, one head, and we like to get them around, you know, between 3 and 4 pounds.
Terry, generations of farming happening here. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Beautiful.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
Glad to
right
have
on.
you.
It's back to our kitchen. We're taking tacos to a new level with Korean fried chicken and a couple of ways to wrap it up. Let's go. So our chicken is marinated beautifully here. 4 to 6 hours is great. You could do it overnight if you really wanted to. Into the rice flour it goes, and I'm gonna get a selection of thigh meat and breast meat. It's all boneless here, but we were talking before about different ways you can do it. You can do bone in. You kind of need to do a double cooking process though to make sure it gets cooked all the way through. So like 8 to 10 minutes, but because this is boneless, skinless, we can just drop this right into our oil and be about 10 minutes and done. So nicely coated in that rice flour, just shake off any excess just before it goes in. And what you want to do, we're a little bit hot here, so I'm going to drop the temperature just a touch, although adding that chicken into the oil is also going to drop the temperature. We want to keep it hovering around 350 degrees. So in order to, you know, be really successful when you're at home deep frying, you need to keep that temperature consistent. Also, make sure you keep your oil below the half level of your pot, whatever size pot you're frying in. Those are very, very important rules. Let's talk tacos. We're there. We're gonna make some tortillas from scratch. First off, I've got some Bob's Red Mill Masa Harina here. I love this product for making tacos from scratch. You need to salt the ingredients and just go ahead and follow the package. The instructions are super easy. One of them is hot water. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this hot water into the Masa Harina and salt mix. And then we're just gonna stir it up. So we'll start with that and add a little bit more if we need to. And it's going to come together. It's going to seem really soupy and porridgey in the beginning. And then as that water kind of integrates with the tortilla mix, the Masa Harina, we end up with a nice kind of Play-Doh consistency, perfect for making tortillas. Now, when I first started making tortillas from scratch, I used to press them out with a rolling pin, which is certainly tricky between 2 sheets of parchment. having a actual tortilla press, so worth it, especially if you want to get into making tortillas from scratch on a regular. So the idea is you want to let this kind of cool down for a little bit before you start handling it. I'm just going to go ahead though and show you how it's done. So we're looking for about ping pong ball size. So how's that? Does that look like a ping pong ball? About. Right on. So parchment paper on the bottom, parchment paper on top. Press it out. And then what we want to do is want to peel that top layer off and then flip it into our hand and peel that next layer off and right into the pan. Okay, and then we'll just repeat the process. And we want to get into like a little bit of an assembly line here. So go ahead and, roll up all of your tortillas first. And if they end up too big, you might have saw what happened there. They kind of spill out the side a little bit. So you'll get some flow, you'll get the hang of it. So that process, once again, parchment paper on the bottom, parchment paper on the top. Just give it a bit of a head start. Press. And you want to gently peel off that parchment paper from the top and then flip it into your hand and peel off that next layer. I want to check my chicken now and just move it around, make sure it's not kind of bunched up. We're getting pretty close to done here. I'm really happy with that. It's going to be beauty. How are our tortillas doing? Let's have a look. These guys are ready for a flip 100%. And now I could have added in just a touch of oil to the pan here. That always helps, but if you have a nice well-seasoned cast iron pan, no need. Okay, let's keep making tortillas. Let's make a few more here. I want to make a nice little platter of our Korean fried chicken tacos. After about 1 minute, that's when you give it the flip, maybe 90 seconds. And then on that second side, it really doesn't need as long. It usually cooks quicker. These are perfect. And I've got this magic plate which produced some beautiful tortillas for me through the magic of television. I'm also a magician, right? We got our tortillas ready to go. Our chicken, it's been about 10 minutes. It's perfect right now. It's got to come out. I'm going to put it right down onto my cutting board so that I can chop this up, and we're ready to actually start creating a beautiful platter of Korean fried chicken tacos. So we'll get our chicken out, we'll grab our platter, create some space. One of the most inexpensive platters you can buy. Nice piece of slate. Check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and grab a knife and we'll start cutting our Korean fried chicken. It smells incredible. It's crisp, it's beautiful, it's delicious. Oh, listen to that crunch, hey? That's some breast. We got some thigh here. We'll place our tacos down on our freshly sanitized, beautiful board, slate, I should say. Place the chicken down. Go ahead and garnish this up with maybe a sprig or two of the cilantro leaves. I told you we might use them. I'm just gonna play here. I'm gonna play a little bit of that kimchi. How's that looking? Finish it off. Oh, we missed one. We don't want to do that. There we go. Finish it off with a little bit of kimchi aioli. Oh my goodness. There you have it. Korean fried chicken tacos. Now I made these on corn tortillas. You can also use cabbage leaves. Fantastic. I'm digging in.
Pairings are brought to you by Liquor Plus. Discover the plus.
I think my tacos need an amigo. Let's see if we can match them up with a beverage pairing. We're here with Dave from Vancouver Island Brewing, one of the pioneers of craft brew in Victoria, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Thanks, Michael. We opened in 1984, so we've been around for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of sent you some details. I was going to make some Korean fried chicken, use some kimchi, turn it into an aioli, and there we go, Korean fried chicken tacos.
Beauty.
What are your thoughts on pairing that up?
Yeah, I mean, so fried chicken, obviously, you've got and Korean fried chicken in particular, you're going to have a big flavor base. So wanted to get something that could kind of match up to the intensity of that and cut through it.
Right.
So I chose our Victoria Pilsner, which Pilsner is basically a hoppy lager.
Yeah.
So it's a lager that has a bit more bite to it, but being a traditional German-style Pilsner, the hop character is more of like a spicy kind of floral note as opposed to like those citrus fruity flavors that we're used to with Northwest hops.
Okay, cool. I'd love to give it a try.
Sure.
May I?
Of course.
This is fairly new, the Pilsner, for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Victoria lager, and we rebranded it into a Pilsner.
Yeah.
But yeah, same basic kind of recipe. We just did a couple little tweaks to it. Just amped up the hop profile, basically.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
No
Cheers.
worries. Cheers.
That's nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's a great beer.
So it's like a kind of a light, floral, spicy, complex nose, and then you're getting like that. It's complex, but it's also crisp because it's a nice lager.
It is, yeah. Like nice hot day, perfect beer.
Exactly, and it's.
Hey, you know what? This is making me want to eat tacos.
Yeah, that's what it's intended for.
Should we give it a try and see how it pairs up?
Yeah.
I should have provided you with a napkin because this is definitely napkin food.
I got a shirt. I'm okay.
Okay.
There's nice heat there, so this will kind of soothe that out a bit.
Right.
And then, the intensity is really nice, so it'll kind of just won't overpower in any way, but it should do some nice complementary notes in there.
I think you've nailed it. I could definitely, jump back and forth here and just
they play
keep
off each other.
enjoying. Absolutely.
The
This is
kimchi, the
awesome.
spiciness, and the acidity really kind of plays with and brightens up some of the malt flavors in there as well.
This is a fantastic combination. Dave, thank you so much. This is a
My pleasure.
delicious pairing. I'm looking forward to enjoying this some more.
Cheers.
Check out our website where you'll find the lowdown and the recipe on today's show. I'm Michael Williams. Thanks for watching, and don't forget, dinner's better when we eat it together.
Thank you.